Tommy finally walked away from MTex, but that may have been the most dangerous decision of his life. Because now, for the first time, he's not cleaning up someone else's mess. He's building his own empire. And while everything looks stable on the surface, Season 3 is quietly setting up betrayals, power struggles, and possibly a tragedy nobody sees coming. Cammy is completely isolated. Cooper's future feels way too perfect to last. And there's one hidden clue that suggests this new company could collapse before it even begins. And honestly, what happens next may completely change Landman forever. The ending of Season 2 felt different. Not bigger. Not louder. Different. For the first time in a long time, Landman stopped escalating the same chaos and started moving towards something entirely new. Tommy walking away from MTex wasn't just a career change. It was a reset button for the entire series. And now Season 3 has the chance to become the most unpredictable chapter yet, because the story is no longer about survival inside a broken company. It's about what happens when Tommy finally gets the freedom to build things his way. But in this world, freedom always comes with consequences. Tommy's decision to leave MTex completely changes the direction of the show because for once, he is no longer trapped inside somebody else's system. Throughout the series, Tommy survived by adapting. He negotiated with dangerous people, cleaned up disasters, and carried companies that constantly depended on him while pretending they didn't. But now everything is different. This new company is personal, and that alone makes Season 3 far more dangerous than previous seasons. What makes this setup so interesting is the structure Tommy created around himself. He's finally surrounding himself with people he actually trusts. That may sound simple, but in a Taylor-Sheridan world, trust is usually the first thing that gets destroyed. Cooper becoming president is probably the biggest surprise of all. There were multiple moments in Season 2 where Cooper clearly wasn't ready for that level of responsibility. He made emotional decisions, acted impulsively, and still felt like someone trying to prove himself. But Tommy, promoting him anyway, tells us something important. Tommy isn't building a company for today. He's building something for the future. And honestly, forcing Cooper into leadership may be the only way he ever grows into the man Tommy believes he can become. That pressure could either transform him or completely break him. At the same time, Tommy calling himself vice president feels almost symbolic because everyone knows he will still be the real force behind everything. He's still going to negotiate deals. He's still going to handle conflict. And he's still going to stand in the middle of dangerous situations because that's who Tommy is. He cannot stay away from chaos even when he tries. Then there's Rebecca becoming COO and chief counsel, which honestly feels like one of the smartest decisions the show could make. Rebecca has slowly become one of the most compelling characters in the series because she understands how power really works. She's sharp, emotionally controlled, and unlike many others around Tommy, she doesn't panic when situations become ugly. That matters because Season 3 is clearly setting up a corporate war, and Rebecca may end up becoming the person holding everything together when things inevitably begin to collapse. But then there's another detail people may not fully realize yet. This company isn't just built on trust. It's built on loyalty to Tommy himself. And that creates a massive weakness. Because if Tommy falls, the entire structure could fall with him. Boss Dale and Thomas handling operations adds stability on paper, while Ariana joining the office gives the story something emotional to balance all the business tension. Her storyline becoming more integrated into the company, instead of being pushed aside, is honestly one of the best directions the show could take. It keeps her connected to Cooper, while also giving her independence inside the story. And that relationship between Cooper and Ariana feels almost too stable right now. That's the scary part. Because Sheridan's shows rarely allow happiness to exist for long, without consequences. The moment characters begin imagining a future together is usually the exact moment something terrible happens, which is why this growing sense of peace around Cooper feels deeply unsettling. The show keeps quietly building this hopeful future around him, and that may be setting viewers up for heartbreak later. And then, there's the biggest question of all. What happens when MTex finally realizes Tommy is becoming a real threat? Because Tommy didn't just leave. He took valuable people with him. He took experience, connections, loyalty. He essentially walked away carrying the soul of the company with him. And that creates a situation where conflict is no longer optional. It's inevitable. Now let's talk about the production update, because this may be the best news fans have heard in a long time. According to director Stephen Kay, production on Season 3 is moving much faster than expected. Episodes are reportedly being edited while filming is still happening, which is a huge sign that the studio wants the next season released quickly. And honestly, that tells us something important. The network clearly knows Landman has become one of its biggest shows. The current expectation points toward a November 2026 release window, which would make the gap between seasons much shorter than many fans expected. That faster turnaround also suggests confidence behind the scenes. Shows only move this aggressively when studios believe momentum is growing. And after the ending of Season 2, the timing honestly makes sense. Because the show is entering its most exciting phase yet. For the first time, the story is no longer centered around maintaining an old empire. It's about building a new one while the old world begins collapsing in the background. That shift completely changes the energy of the series. Everything now feels unstable in the best possible way. Friendships could break. Families could split apart. Businesses could collapse. And characters we trust right now may look completely different by the end of Season 3. The most fascinating part is that nobody feels fully safe anymore. Tommy's company may look promising, but success creates enemies. Cammy may seem isolated, but desperate people are unpredictable. Cooper may look happy, but happiness in this universe usually comes before tragedy. And there was one detail nobody noticed. Season 2 quietly removed many of the systems protecting these characters. Tommy no longer has the backing of MTex. Cammy no longer has Tommy. Cooper no longer has the excuse of being inexperienced. Every major character is now exposed in ways they never were before. That vulnerability is exactly what makes Season 3 feel so dangerous, because now, when things go wrong, there's nowhere left to hide. Season 3 honestly feels like the moment Landman stops being just a story about oil and power, and becomes a story about legacy, control, and survival. Tommy is building something new. Cammy may be preparing for war. Cooper's future feels terrifyingly fragile, and if the theories about a wedding disaster or betrayal turn out to be true, this could easily become the darkest season yet. But what do you think? Will Cammy become the real villain of Season 3? Or will Tommy's new empire destroy itself from the inside first?